because I did a test one because I was smart.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
so I'm recording our. Well, actually, now you have how many? Wait, how many different versions of audio do you are you three? You said.
I have 3 currently, yeah.
Well, now you have a fourth because Zoom is recording our audio separately.
Yes.
Maybe I'll put them all together on top of each other. I'll layer it.
Oh yeah, no, that'll sound amazing.
It'll sound dope. So why don't we just start this off with the basic, tell me about yourself. Of course, we want people to know that you're more than just a gender identity. Even though
Right.
this series is so oriented around gender identity, I want to make sure that people know that obviously there's more to you. So tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, something people don't realize is that I am not a full-grown adult. I'm still in school. I'm still in school. Going for my undergrad in psychology right now, off of a athletic scholarship from high school because I am a washed-up high school athlete.
Wait, what did you play?
I was a cross-country runner.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like 36th in the state for a 5K for a little while.
I would vomit. That's not fun for me. I have too much nicotine. But yeah, all right. So let's just dive right on into things. I think that's
Awesome.
the best way to approach this. So because this video is going to be so much more focused on your life as a trans influencer, there's a plane going by. Can you hear that?
No, I can't.
Okay. Then we're good.
No, we're good. We're good.
So why don't you give a little backstory of what your life was like growing up, and kind of like a summary of how you view your gender identity and such, and how it's grown.
Well, growing up, I didn't really have the ability to really question anything because I was so focused on so many other things. My parents are incredibly involved with like academics and stuff like that, so I had to keep my grades up all the time. I didn't really have time to think on if I was happy with how I looked at the time, and I wasn't the most observant child in the world, so it's no secret that it took me 18 years to finally figure out, hey, maybe I'm not a dude, because all of this it's fairly recent for me. Like with TikTok, if you go like all the way back to when I first started, I was masculine presenting. I was like, I thought I was a dude, and you can see this general progression throughout the past 2 years where I went from I should probably do what makes me happy at this point.
How did you approach sharing that on TikTok?
It took a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It took a while because of course I was figuring out things for myself. But I knew like a good amount of time before like coming out on TikTok. And I remember like when I said it for the first time, it was around my birthday. And it felt so good to get that off my chest. Oh my God.
You're talking about you said it on TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
How was the reception? How was your pre-thought like anxieties compared to what the aftermath truly was?
Well, I'm going to be on. My main concern when I was coming out on my TikTok was how many people are going to be transphobic because of this. And I was really like, I had my support system like ready to go in the event that someone said something that actually got under my skin,
yeah, of course.
Do you
use filters?
Sometimes, not super often, because like I don't. With filters, I feel like it's for me personally. I can't see myself with filters and be like, yeah, that's me. Because it looks so different. It changes like my jaw shape most of the time.
Wait. I'm talking about. No. I'm talking about filters and comments. Like, do you filter?
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. That's my bad.
I am sorry.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know that those existed until like 2 months ago.
Oh, okay. I've had them on for. Because my TikTok originally was like back when it was a fight against the people who oppress us, and it's gradually become more about inclusive awareness and like fighting the ignorance of things. But back then, my follower count was like 80% male. Now it's 95% female. and it's changed drastically. But back then, like the death threats, like people would like to just blatantly comment left and right, like I come to my house and I'll shoot you in the face and stuff like that. And I was like, it's time to start filtering this. So like, I have everything from like chromosome, XY, boy, Mister, dude, like all those terms. Just like I'm like, it's just not worth my time to filter through. But so I guess since coming out, how have you? What is just a little summary of your process so far? Whether it be mentally or physically.
I'm kind of just picking things up as I go, because a really big, common misconception with like my following and stuff like that is they think I have it all figured out, right? Like they're coming to me for advice and transition tips, and I'm like, you got transition tips? I'll take them. I need them,
this
please.
Stuff is, like the surface level stuff. It's just people see online happiness and they think that means. Some like look at any actor. It's easy to put on. Some of the stand-up comedians are some of the most depressed people in the world for a reason.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so you can carry on. It's just yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. It's just people like to think that I'm this. They put me on this pedestal of like everything, and I know little to nothing when it comes to pretty much anything. But especially this, I don't know a whole lot. I'm just kind of learning as I go. So like when it comes to like how far along I am and like my mentality towards it, I'm just kind of doing what makes me feel good when I realize it makes me feel good. Like I've been going to like the gym a lot more and working on like exclusively my lower body to give me like that more curvaceous look, and it's worked to like an extent, right? Just general stuff like that. There's not a whole lot that
Are you on hormones?
I am not. And that's not because it's not quite. I still do live with my parents, and they're not really nothing to my parents. Well, everything to my parents, but they still think I am a cis man somehow.
Have you? Oh, so that you haven't told them, or
no? They're not supportive, like at all. When so
I assume they won't be seeing this video.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. They will have no idea that this exists at all.
Do they not see your TikToks? Anything?
It's baffling. I don't know how I've sustained it for so long, because like it's just they've seen some of them and then they just don't question anything. So I know for a fact that they don't know, because they're like very opinionated about that sort of thing. So like, I mean, I'm happy about it, right? And
sure.
I do have plans in the event that something happens. Like I have like 3 different escape plans. But that sort of thing.
Make sure you have the exits at the rear and front of the auditorium.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Climb up a fire escape.
So let's with that, let's start talking a bit more about your early stages of making TikToks and how that's adapted. It's especially different for you, as you've stated that you came out during your years on TikTok rather than, when I started TikTok, I had already been out. So what made you start making TikToks, and, how has that progressed, especially through the eyes of gender dysphoria and or, coming to terms with yourself?
Well, when I started making TikToks, how like when you were a child and everyone wanted to be like a big Minecraft YouTuber or something, and that was like a huge appealing thing. Yeah. I was never one of those children. I didn't really want that for myself because it looked annoying. Even to like the 10-year-old self, it looked like it was a lot to deal with. That being said, the whole reason I started my TikTok wasn't even because I wanted to start making TikToks. It was a ploy to get my incredibly competitive friend to post more. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what ended up happening. Was he was trying to launch his music career. And he was complaining about how he's not getting like consistent views or like followers when he wants to. And I'm like, well, you post like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you post like, once or twice a month. Like, it's not a super common thing. So what we did is we were like, okay, we're gonna make like brand new, fresh accounts. We're gonna have a week's time, and whoever gets more like attention in that week wins, I don't know, bragging rights. But it was enough to get him to post consistently every day, right?
Yeah. I assume you won.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was a good idea in theory because I didn't think it was gonna go anywhere. But at the end of the week, I had like 4,000 followers and he had like 200 and something, and then he didn't talk to me for like 3 months. But I'm like, well, exactly. But I'm like, well, shoot, now I have this like tiny following. At the time I thought it was huge, right?
Yeah.
I have this this following, and I can't just disappear off the face of the earth, so I just kept making videos with my stupid personality.
What kind of videos were you making?
Mostly just like
your random shit that you post.
Yeah. Yeah. Like pretty much like I went through this. It's funny. I went through like phases with my TikTok. I went from the I'm recording in my bathroom mirror phase to recording in my bedroom mirror phase.
I'm in the bathroom mirror phase. But I also do the bedroom mirror at the same time.
I get self-conscious, so I just whenever it comes to like mirrors at all now, I'm just like, nah, I'm good. But like I basically started out making the same kind of videos I do now, and then for a solid year I just threw that out the window and started to try and make like content that would appeal to people and be funny consistently, and it worked ish. Like I did a few series with like funny quotes that my friends have said, and that was one of the things that like skyrocketed my follower count. And then I realized, yeah, that's all well and good, but I don't enjoy making those videos. They're no fun. If I'm going to have this as a job, I want it to at least be fun or have the capacity to be fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Especially because if you're influencing and making money and you're not enjoying yourself at all, it is brutal. Like working in an office is brutal, but doing that type of craft, like that was me with like when I was doing OnlyFans work. Like I was making bank, but I was numb. Like I didn't like anything I was doing. It was all so fake. And so I stopped making the content solely because of that. I was like, I made money to sustain myself, but it didn't feel right. So it's the same thing with influencing, especially if you're forced to preach shit that doesn't, not preach
exactly.
shit, forced to, but so how do you feel in regards to your TikToks now? Do you think they've evolved in any way because of your inclusiveness to the LGBT, or?
I want to say, yeah, that definitely for sure, because, it's not just my content that's adapted, it's my following as well. Because it's like, it's going to be no surprise to anyone that when I came out, like I had a little bit of a dip in followers for a little while, which is fine. I don't care that much. But because of it, I tailored my content to be geared more towards the LGBT community because of it. Because I'm like, well, if these kinds of people are going to leave it like a drop of a hat and not even try to understand or adapt, right, I'm not going to try either. I'm just going to gear myself towards the people that I already know, like understand similar problems or the same problems,
or just people who choose not to judge others. They don't even
exactly
have to,
like what a concept.
Cis, white, it doesn't matter what they are, as long as they're just like cool.
Precisely. So yeah, no, it's definitely changed a lot for that reason, and I feel like the only difference in my content because of it is, I mean, occasionally, like, I'll mention something involving the LGBT in a joke or like just as a passing thought. But most of the time, the only difference in my content is I'm trying harder because I want the people that are watching those videos to be happy when they watch the video. Yeah. Like, what a concept. That's pretty much it. I haven't really changed much. It's just my following itself has changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. That for me, it was both changed, but my following definitely drastically changed. I went from all the men hating me for attacking them to men obsessed with me from a sexual standpoint to LGBT community. It it took some time to progress there. But I also am on and off posting content because TikTok is only like a fifth of my day job. So I'm trying to like juggle it.
Right.
And it's like, it's hard. But all right. So with this, I would love to hear, in regards to your, whether it be your trans identity or dysphoria or whatever it might be. I would love to hear like a, possibly a good story and a bad story, something that, anything that ties those two things together, if you have anything.
Right. Well, there was, I guess, a good story that would be good to go into for this was the first time that I was referred to with like she, her pronouns and as a woman in public. And it was entirely because I had a TikTok, because the person who referred to me as this was a fan. Right. And I'm still in contact with them. She's really cool. I'm not gonna say their name because I didn't get, previous permission from them to say so. So I'll just call them bath bombs, because that's the kind of store that they work at. Yeah, okay. Bath bombs. So I'm in Massachusetts with my partner at the time. And well, at the time, they're still my partner. And we're walking around this absolutely huge mall, and they point out like one particular store that they want to go into because everything in there smells nice, which I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Things that smell good. Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. So we walk into the store, and this person with like fantastic like spiderweb makeup, because this is like at around Halloween times. They're like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. We've got a few different kinds of things today. And they're like, doing the normal sales rep type situation, right?
This one smells like Delilah's.
Exactly. So after we were done talking to them about that, we walked around a little bit, and then on our way out, they actually they stopped us, and she was like, I love your work. And I'm like, what? Is there something that I don't do? Hello? So I guess my first look was confusion, because they immediately said like, oh no, I mean, you're like your TikTok and stuff like that. I'm like, oh shoot, oh my goodness, I'm getting recognized. They know who I am. Right. I was like super excited.
At this point, how many, like if you had to guess, how many followers were you probably at this point?
I want to say like 600,000. Not like I like half of what I have now, pretty much.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, no, it's really inspiring to see you. It's just, and I try to like actively like comment and stuff like that, and I'm over here just feeling good about myself. I'm like, oh, someone actually enjoys the video, because before it was kind of like, I don't want to say transparent, but it didn't feel real.
Yeah. Like
the attention that I'm getting from the internet, and having that translate to real life and having them talk to me about it and how much they enjoy it. It was awesome. And the weirdest part is
payoff, like a payoff for all the hard work. Yeah.
And the weirdest part is like, they didn't explicitly mention anything about like my pronouns or my womanhood, but that was the first time that I felt like a woman in public. Like, without a doubt, I just felt nice. I felt like I want to feel like forever. Like that is that is the pinnacle. That is what I want, period. Right? Oh yeah. It was fantastic. It was awesome.
So I assume that probably gave you even more motivation to keep up the content.
Oh yeah, 100%. My content was like popping for a solid 2 months after that.
It's like me when I saw, do you know the rapper NF?
Yeah.
So I saw NF in concert, and like I went back that night, and for the next month straight, I was like, all right, nothing but laptop, script, and just writing, nothing but that nonstop.
Hell yeah.
So if you're comfortable sharing, I would love to hear about, a time where, whether it be, you were going through a heaping amount of dysphoria, but pretending on the surface like everything's fine for TikTok. Or a time where a comment really did get under your skin, whatever you feel comfortable talking about. I'd love to hear about something in regards to your influencing and your gender identity in a negative light.
With like a bad thing that's come of it, of course, just as a trans woman, you're gonna have people who are like violently transphobic. Regardless, you're going to have those
keyword
people,
violently
right?
transphobic.
Violently, yeah. And it's unpleasant, but most of the time it doesn't get under my skin. But there was one time where there was a comment that got like lost right in the comments, and I was just scrolling through the comments on that video, and then someone said something along the lines of like, if I ever see you again, you're gonna get beat up on the spot. And I'm like, again? And I look at their profile, it's someone I went to high school with.
Oof.
Yeah. It's someone I went to high school with. I mean, I didn't talk to the guy because somehow he was both Mexican and incredibly racist. Right.
Sure.
Yeah. So I didn't talk to the guy, but seeing him comment that on my page, it didn't make me feel fear so much as it just made me feel just genuinely uncomfortable. Because I know, like, logistically, that if I ever saw him again in public, and then he decided he wanted to become violent, I can handle myself. I'm 6'4". I'm pretty large.
Oh, I did not know you were 6'4".
Oh yeah. I'm a big girl.
How tall do you think I am?
I'm gonna say you 5'8", 5'9". That's what I'm gonna guess.
5'9".
But like, I know logistically that I'd be able to handle myself in that situation, but it's it made me really anxious for a while to like go out in public and like still dress how I dress and feel how I feel. And I was always like looking over my shoulder and always like,
it wasn't just like a
something.
random online threat. This was a threat from someone who knows you and knows
like a rough area of like where I live and the people I talk to.
That definitely ties into fame. Once someone starts gaining traction and fame, the people around you don't know what could happen. Especially the people who loathe you or are just vehemently transphobic. It's
awful. It truly is. And especially with people from high school that I used to be like close with. I have seen quite a few of them because I do work at a mall fairly close to where my high school is. Like, it was like the resident mall. And sometimes I'll see them and they'll do one of two things. They'll be with friends. Right. Literally every time this has happened, they were with friends. They'll do one of two things. They'll either pretend like they were like best friends with me in high school and like, they were definitely there throughout my rise to fame, or they will completely ignore my pronouns and start asking me like, ooh, how much money do you make from TikTok? Ooh, how did you get to where you are? Is there a way to do it faster? Because everyone wants
that surface layer
have
shit.
That.
Everybody think Once you become an influencer, you start to stop becoming a human, and people just view you as a influencer. I don't even know.
Exactly. It's not so much like an object. It's more just like, hey, you have the thing that I want. Well, give me what you did to get there so I can do the same thing but better, right?
It'd be like if someone was a janitor, but they're incapable of taking off their janitor's uniform no matter where they are. So no matter where they are, people are coming over and being like, so if I had a spill on the floor, I don't know, whatever.
So if I vomited right here on the floor. It's just,
That's I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad to know that it didn't happen. So now we're going to move. You touched on this a little bit in the beginning when you talked about how people expect things of you. Do you feel like since coming out as trans and your following has been growing and growing and growing, that your identity is something that you may want to acknowledge it on your TikTok, and that's different, but do you feel like you have to? And if so, for positive reasons, for negative reasons, what type of weight or pressure do you feel on yourself, negative or positive, self-motivated or, detrimental?
I'm going to be honest. I don't push out the fact that I'm a black trans woman as much as I feel that I should. And it is entirely for selfish reasons. I'm going to be completely transparent. It is entirely for selfish reasons because I've seen other like big black trans women creators like Zaya Persian or Viandre, and they get harassed constantly. And I don't know how they deal with it. And I see that it happens. And I feel that if I am as out there and as brave as they are, I won't be able to deal with the repercussions of the people that are transphobic, right?
I mean, that's deep in and of itself.
And I do want to do better. I do, and I'm getting a decent sized following where I'm like one of the bigger trans women on TikTok, and it's a lot. I'm gonna be honest. It's quite a bit to just have the fact that my identity puts me in like the higher percentile of something, right? Higher percentile of trans
especially
women
when you're newer, when people would expect that a popular trans influencer would be, like me. I'm 4 years along, so like I've been on HRT for 4 years. Is what I mean. But yeah, that's that type of weight must I don't know, it must be unique. But do you have any stories and or ways that you have been trying to whether it be more aware of it? I'm losing my train of thought.
No, it's all right. I get what you're saying. And kind of I do have this thing with my content where like I'll take a break for, let's say, a day or two, right, from my normal like kind of random weird personality based content and just make some sort of video where I just look how I would look going out into public, right? And it's not really like a thirst trap because I'm not trying that hard. It's like the slow reveal filter like all the way up. It's not that hard. But it's reminding people that I am a woman.
Sure.
Right. It's reminding people of my identity because it gets lost so many times. Right. Because, with the way that I make my content, because TikTok is the way that it is, it actively pushes out my content to people who just, as a broad thing, enjoy comedy-based content, which doesn't mean they're always LGBT friendly, whether that be just because they absolutely refuse to use the correct pronouns in my comments or, something, or fighting against people in my comments about my pronouns, even if they have pronouns in their bio. This has happened so much where I will see someone that's like, yeah, I mean, I get it, but who looks in the bio of someone like when they're commenting on something and then I go look in their bio and there are pronouns and I actively use those pronouns when I'm insulting them because
it's not hard and it's also not hard to say they when you don't know. It's not.
I default to saying partner when I'm talking about someone's love person, or I default to saying they as a general rule of thumb,
or just
unless I explicitly know. Or what a concept. People have names, like what? But it's just I've lost my train of thought. But when you're trying to actively push out your identity to people that probably don't know, because the thing is, with my following and as okay sized as it is, most of the people who see my videos are not following me. Most of the people, it's like from the For You page. Most of the people, it's from the For You page. So it feels like no matter how much I really push it out, unless I completely reorient my content to being exclusively about my identity, no one's gonna really understand that I can be both a comedy TikToker and a trans woman. Like those things don't intersect to people,
I want to go back a little bit just because it really piqued my interest. When you were talking about the anxieties, the way that some of these TikTokers, especially Black trans TikTokers, are harassed. Would you some more awareness in that would be cool? Just talking about what you noticed or what you recognized.
Well, because I do follow like Zaya Persian, and I've seen they are so good. She is so good at like actively picking out bigots and just telling them off. It is fantastic to watch her do that, and I wish I could do that. But you know, like I've seen in her comments over and over and over again, people exclusively going to her comments just to insult her.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
just to be transphobic. Exactly. Like they're doing it on the clock, on the hour, going to her TikToks and just commenting something mean for no reason. And that if I choose to do the same thing that she does, as in, you know, being more out and proud and brave about it, I don't know if I would be able to ignore the comments that I would get. Because I do get those kind of comments, but it's not nearly as frequent because I'm not as out about it. It's not as obvious for some reason. It's not as clear, right?
It was hard for me on the same boat, especially when my content was more what that person's content is.
Mm-hmm.
The comments, you know, redundancy can get to you. Like, and without much care, because I'm someone who on this point online has stopped caring about like my dead names. Like I would have my TikTok at this point. But for a while, I would frequently get the comment Michael Cera. People telling me that like transphobes telling me I look like Michael Cera. And it's like one thing to say you look like a dude or something like this, but when you get consistently called the same, it really that type of shit can really eat at you.
Right.
More than like, you know, if someone says you look like a dude, I'm like, sure. You could think that it's you're just being a dick, but with stuff like that, it feels so much more personal, you know.
Right.
So
I have a similar thing, kind of, not really, because the person I'm compared to just isn't a man, but is I feel for me specifically an unrealistic beauty standard to have to like be on the same level as. I get compared to Zendaya on the daily, and that is just it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because Zendaya is what I wish.
Zendaya. Yeah.
Zendaya. She's so attractive, and
to say
I
someone's
wish
too good for Tom Holland is a lot, and Zendaya is too good for Tom Holland.
Oh yeah. So like when I'm compared to her, number one, most of the people that compare me to Zendaya are just like closeted racists, and the only thing they see that's similar is my skin tone. That's the only thing, because I don't look like Zendaya. I have like the same nose and skin tone.
At best, it's the skin tone. That's like when you said that, I was like trying to find features, and I was like the skin tone.
Yeah. It's literally, to me, that's the only thing I can see that I have similar to her. And I mean, of course, you know, at first it felt nice that like, oh, people are comparing me to this really pretty woman. Wow, I must also be a pretty woman. Wow. But now it's just kind of annoying. It's just kind of like, stop comparing me to Zendaya. I'm not Zendaya. I'm Ivy. Hi, nice to meet you. And, you know, it's just, it's annoying because when you have a following, I'm sure you've noticed this as well. You can put out your boundaries as much as you want, and most of the time people will just simply ignore it. Right?
Well, for me, it's a little different because with my content and the way my mind works, which is not the way, you know, everybody's works. I don't really have boundaries. Like people have asked me if I pee out my clitoris, like, and I've answered that. One of my most popular videos on TikTok is someone saying, because I explained to them that the way you get the surgery is you have the head at the end, and that's your new clitoris. And they were like, "Do you still pee out of that?" So I told them jokingly, yes, and I like to use it on my enemies and stuff. But that, like, my boundaries are very I grew up in a very unique circumstance. My dad's actually psychology, so I was raised my grandmother taught psychology at Northeastern University. My grandfather taught biomechanical engineering and psychology. So I was raised on that mindset of like understanding people from a young age. So I gave up on caring about stuff like that. Like I came out as bisexual in 5th grade. So I also had 4 older brothers, and for a long time I was jacked. So I had little to fear. Like I was 180 pounds of just muscle. So I didn't have much to fear either in that regard. It was a bit of a non sequitur, but
no, don't worry about it.
So let's talk about something that can have a little more humorous side to it. The fact that you have over 1 million followers, and your day job is a mechanic at a
at an arcade. At an arcade bowling alley. Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that. How why you choose to have that job if you're making money as an influencer, and 2, maybe sometimes you've been recognized or something that's been. I would love to hear an awkward moment you've been recognized.
Oh God, I have a couple of those actually.
Hell yeah.
So when it comes to like why I have my day job in general, it's gonna sound real stupid. It's just because I can't not have something to do. It stresses me out when I have nothing to do. Right. So I have to have something to keep my hands busy, which is why, I used to like, I used to want to be an art major. So I drew a lot, or I used to be a musician. So I learned how to play guitar and then bass and then drums and then trumpet again for no good reason. And the thing is, it just felt not enough. I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't challenging enough. And then my friend was like, hey, you should come work at this place that I work at. I'm like, what is it? And she's like, it is an arcade bowling alley. I'm like, the hell would I do there? What, cashier? Disgusting. I can't deal with customers.
My first job was a laser tag arena arcade. So I know what the life is like there.
Right. And it's loud, but it doesn't bother me because, my bosses are amazing and let me listen to music on the job. Oh God, it's great. But I started working as a mechanic because I just simply didn't want to work at the desk and deal with customers. And it is awesome. It is fantastic. The only reason I thought, hey, maybe I should be an arcade mechanic is because I kept taking apart a 3DS when I was in 7th grade and was able to put it back together without a cinch. Like I didn't need instructions.
Did you have
I didn't need
reason to take it apart, or just
I was replacing the screen for my friend. But like I took apart my own before taking apart theirs. So I took apart and put back together like 3DSs, I want to say like 7 or 8 different times without needing to like look online and be like, oh, that's where that goes.
Pac-Man? I got you.
Exactly. I got this. Right. And most of the arcade cabinets and stuff like that, believe it or not, you just pop out the back and it's just like an old Dell Optiplex. Like it's an office computer running these machines and stuff.
Oh my God.
It's weird to look at, right? Because you see like, oh, Batman racing game. And then you pop open the back and it's just a desk computer in the back, right? But it's just genuinely fun to not fully know what's wrong with something and then go at it like, okay, here's my my process. Here's what I do to get it done. That's more with like the arcade stuff. With the bowling alley stuff, it's calming. It is. I mean, it doesn't seem like it is, I'm sure, because, bowling alleys are loud, right? But what I do is I just pop in my earbuds or I have my speaker and I'm just underneath the lanes doing my thing, replacing a pin holder or something, for like a couple hours. And it's just nice to be able to sit back, relax, do something I know how to do, but it's still challenging for me,
I meant to ask, are you, and this is to your comfort level, are you out at your work?
Funny story.
Or were you outed because of your TikTok?
Funny story. So with my job, it's really interesting because 3 people know that I am a woman, and it's funny because there are some awkward moments that arise because I look like a woman and they don't know that I am, right? For example, I went to go help out a customer over at this Wizard of Oz coin pusher machine, which is basically, you slide the card, you push some coins, and it brings down like money or a card or some chips or something, right? And it wasn't working. Yeah, pretty much as adjacent to gambling as you can get in an arcade for, children. So like I help them out, and when a machine doesn't work, I send them up to the front to get their credits reimbursed because, the machine wasn't working. That's not their fault. Here's your money back.
Nah, fuck them.
Here's the problem. I was fixing it and I'm like, yeah, what you're going to want to do is head up to the front, right? Say, hey, the Wizard of Oz wasn't working. Tell them I sent you, the one with the long red hair. And they're like, cool. They go up to the front. And then I hear over the comms, who sent this lady up to the front to get their credits reimbursed? I'm like, that was me, and then she's like, oh, that's weird because she said that a lady sent her up here, but I told her we don't have any lady mechanics. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, and it turned into this whole big thing where I was this close. I was this close to being outed because they said I was a lady because they unconsciously realized like halfway through, they follow me on TikTok. So they knew who I was at some lower level that they're not realizing. So they were like adamant, like, no, this is a woman. A woman sent me up here. And then the one at the counter was like, no, it's we do not have any woman mechanics. And it was just this huge thing. Oh my God.
We don't trust women back there.
We don't trust it. No. It was interesting. It was interesting to say the least. And the thing is, like, a manager was called up to like help figure that out. And like, I was like, okay, interesting. So because I know all my managers, they're really nice. So I go up to the front to, help diffuse the situation because they were getting like damn near a shouting match because this lady that I sent up was like incredibly like trans advocacy at its finest. Like she was like, no, this is a woman. Period. And the person at the counter wasn't having it. So I went up to the counter. My manager went up to the counter. And then I had this point where my heart just stopped beating for a second because the woman said, yeah, that lady right there. And then both the person at the counter and my manager looked at me and I was just kind of sitting there like, hey, how's it going? I don't know how. I don't even remember really the logistics of how I got out of that situation without them realizing because they both follow my TikTok. I guess they just never looked at my profile.
Yeah, or your pronoun. Your pronouns are
right. My pronouns are on there. The trans flag is in my bio.
Nobody looks up.
Nope. No. The amount of times that I've gotten like Q&A questions on TikTok being like, what are your pronouns? I want to stand correctly. And I'm like, oh boy. But yeah, so there's that story from work, but there's a couple stories where like, some of the people that I work with, didn't know that I was on TikTok and then just got super confused when some customers started like freaking out in the middle of the floor because they saw me. Right. They're like, oh, God. And the thing is, with most of them, they're introverts. So what they'll do is they'll hover. They'll follow me around the store until they like work up the gumption.
That's not more awkward by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. So until they like work up the gumption and the confidence to like finally ask me, hey, are you on TikTok? And then I'm like, yeah. And then we take a picture. And this one person just wasn't. This person was not an introvert. They remind me of how I was in high school, just loud and in your face. And that's fine. If that's your kind of thing, that's your kind of thing. Doesn't bother me specifically. But my friend that I work with was up at the counter and then he came to me, he was like, what on earth just happened? I'm like, oh no, a fan just recognized me. And he was like, oh, a fan. Excuse me, a fan? What? Hello? And then this whole story of and he's LGBT friendly, thank God. So I just sent him my TikTok and we've been close friends ever since. But it's nice to work somewhere where not like everyone knows who I am, but it is also nice to just kind of like see people that enjoy my videos, every now and then.
That's got to be assuring every once in a while to know that there are people. Because again, when you're behind the camera, a lot of it does probably feel fake. So when you do get recognized, like I don't get recognized nearly as much, but I have like a small handful of times, especially since the Anthony Padilla video has come out. Like my vet like called me to be like, "Are you in Anthony?"
Oh my god!
I was like, "Yeah."
Oh my god! Hell yeah!
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to the last little bit, which is really just whether it be to your supporters, trans or not, if you wanted to say anything to them and or anything to your fellow trans folk, trans influencers, anything. This could be just a quick thing. It could be a few minutes, whatever you want. If there's something you wanted to say. And then at the end, obviously, shout out your TikTok. We're going to put your stuff in the description.
Oh, hell yeah. I guess I'd say two different things, I suppose. Number one, just do what makes you happy, right? It sounds simplistic, but it's really not.
It's
just
really
actively, just actively trying to like realize what makes you happy and then like going after it and doing it. And
remembering that happiness comes in bursts.
Exactly.
Happiness is not consistent. Happiness is, true happiness is like 10 minutes a day, to be honest. Bliss.
It doesn't have to be much, but like whatever you can get, it's worth it to strive toward being happy. And hell, even if it doesn't work, at least you put in the effort. Like that's going to count for something. That is like the effort that you are consciously trying to make yourself feel better. It doesn't have to be a lot, right?
Yeah.
If you're bedridden and you don't, feel the ability to get up out of bed, just getting up, grabbing a bottle of water, getting back to your room and drinking it. That's all that it takes, right? Just a little, maybe not even getting a bottle of water, just like drinking from the tap, like I used to do when I was 8 years old. And like, like that's that's
I
sort
used
of
to
like
do that out of the bubbler because I didn't have so I was prissy and wouldn't use the tap, but our bubbler was set up that like our water fountain that didn't, like your mouth couldn't really fit under it, but I would do my best and like half would spill, half would get in my mouth. And that was all I did.
God. Yeah, no, I have fond memories of being a child and it being 3 a.m. and I just stumble haphazardly to the bathroom to drink from the tap.
Dehydrated,
oh yeah, just oh god, it's and I guess the other thing I would have to say to like my supporters and people in similar like positions that I am is just relax. It's okay. It's all right. It's gonna be okay. Especially with I have a thing with labels. Just don't rush to label yourself. Let yourself figure it out.
Absolutely.
That's what I did at least.
Everybody wants to find a quick solution when sometimes
exactly because everyone wants to be like, oh, so I'm this and this is how I can help with this. But most of the time, that's I mean, I was really quick with it with labels when I was a kid because
that's how kids are,
Yeah, I was bi and then I was gay and then I was gay. Well, I was a non-binary lesbian and then here I am trans lesbian now. But just don't rush. Let yourself figure it out. Think. Don't pressure yourself to almost force yourself to feel a certain way because of a label, right?
Yeah. I talk about that a lot with when it comes to stereotypes. Like when someone like, let's say even it's the way you put on your clothes could give someone dysphoria because they feel like they did it in a masculine way. And I always have to remind them like, if you are a woman, then what you just did is something a woman does. Stereotypes in TV shows and all that bullshit. And what you were saying about the, with slowing down, it sounds lame, but it is true that especially when it comes to transition, the destination may be wonderful, but that journey is what makes you the trans person, the trans woman that you are, a trans man, whatever it might be. That's how you find yourself. And as much as it sucks, it can be so exciting, especially when new discoveries.
It's a lot. And, not just myself, but my partner who I've been with for a year and change, we're T for T. So it's interesting to watch their transition and what they do to make themselves feel better, and how it's both very similar and incredibly different from what I do. And it's nice that we're allowing each other to just take the time and relax and wait and try different things and see what makes us feel better.
Yeah.
And the things that we can actively go towards to make us feel better. Like, I don't know, I'm not great at makeup, but I'll put it on sometimes just to like feel nice, like
and
just the little things,
right? Like,
exactly,
like, yes,
just
your
the little
followers
things.
may love it, but like at the root of it, it should be for you,
Right. And it's nice to be able to do that. It's nice to be able to realize, hey, this is what makes me happy.
And how do your
realized
parents
it.
not?
I have no idea. I'm going to be completely honest. I have not the slightest clue how they have no idea.
I am befooled. And slightly concerned for their self-awareness.
Well, okay. With my parents, they're very I guess narcissism is the good word. They don't want to believe anything that they didn't explicitly figure out themselves.
Sure.
Right? So, with the fact that, I haven't told them, they still think I am a bisexual cis man, right? And that's why I do as many effeminate things as I do, is just because as one of the security guards who doesn't know like anything at my work says, I've got a Prince thing going on. Like I'm just kind of like distinctly feminine, but it's not quite, it's kind of like a little bit of a low period.
Yeah, like, well, I would understand if someone said like, meeting you, they would maybe say they. I would probably pick up like immediately. But I could understand someone who doesn't understand identities as well to sit there, and they definitely wouldn't say he unless they're just full of ignorance.
Yeah, they are. Do you better believe it? Yeah.
The only time I still had to deal with that problem is sometimes my voice. But like it used to be like very, very, very bad. Once my hair got longer, it kind of changed the game a little bit.
Right.
And I started like being able to shave my face better. And I found like new methods for shaving my face. I have this whole idea for an invention where it's like a see-through balloon material. And it goes on your face, but your mouth hole stays open. And you fill it with hot water. And then you put it on your face before you shave to warm up your face and open up the follicle.
Oh, that's actually really smart. You should do that.
But if I did, Shark Tank would just be like, put your head under the hot water. And be like, it's not the same.
It's not the same, guys.
I don't want to actually get wet.